Welcome to this Aderyn screencast. Today we're going to talk about recorder access within Aderyn. So what is it and what does it comprise of? So recorder access is a special kind of access that's designed for individuals such as county recorders. So if you're the county recorder for a particular taxonomic group in a particular vice county, then contact your local LERC and we can register you and give you access to all of our records for that particular taxon group within a particular vice county. Once you're registered and you're signed up, if you log into Aderyn, you'll see an option here at the top for recorder. And within that drop down, you'll see two options. You'll see analysis and you'll see data search. So we'll take these one at a time. So first of all, the analysis page. So when you load that, you'll see the page here and you'll see the taxonomic groups and the geographic areas you have access to. So for instance, the account I'm signed in with here, I have access to 3 taxonomic groups, which will be probably quite unusual, and also I have access to a couple of vice counties. So very simply, you can select the taxonomic group you want. So for instance, I'll select mammals. If there's a subgroup, I can select that. So I'm just going to select terrestrial mammals. I'm going to select Radnorshire and I'll click on Analyze. Now, this analysis process can take quite a while to run, 2 or 3 minutes sometimes. The results are cached, so in this case it's run very quickly for me because I ran it before starting this screencast. Once it's completed, you'll see a variety of information that looks at both the picture for that taxonomic group within the vice county you've selected or the geographic area you've selected, and also for Wales as a whole. So the first thing you'll see there is just some numbers for the number of records that are held within Wales and also within the vice county, and it's broken down into the number verified and also unverified. Moving on down, you'll see some distribution maps, so indicating the number of records for that taxon group within both Wales and again within the vice county that you've specified. And if you wish, you can hover over these groups and you can click on the more information link there to see a breakdown of that particular 10 kilometre square for that particular taxonomic group. Finally, down the bottom of the page here, you'll see some graphs indicating the number of records that have been entered for a given taxonomic group over a time period. So, for instance, here you can see the number of records entered per year from 1900 through to 2018 when this screencast was created. So first of all, you'll see that for Wales, and then further down you'll see the number of records for Radnorshire. So hopefully a useful, informative page. Obviously at the top here you can again change over to a different taxonomic group if you wish, or you can go back to the analysis homepage. So just to give you one more example here, if I select birds now, and again birds only has a single subgroup, and I'll select Breconshire and click on Analyze. Again, this is one I ran earlier, so it's loading quite quickly. But again, you see the same information for birds within Breconshire. Let's go over now to data search. Now this is a little more complicated. So by and large, when you carry out a data search within Aderyn, you need to specify 2 things. You need to specify the species categories, and you need to specify an area, a geometry. Now, just if we scroll down a little bit on the data search page here, recorders have an extra section here, recorder specific options. And this is the first thing you really need to set. You must set these things before you can carry out any kind of search. So the first one is recorder geolock. Most recorders will likely only have access to a single geometry, and if you look at the map down below, that will have been already loaded for you. I've got 2. If I wish to, I can change over to the other one, so I'll change over to Radnorshire, and the page then will pause for a moment and it will then load up the geometry for Radnorshire. So now I can search anywhere within that red boundary. The next thing I have to do is specify which taxonomic group I would like to search. So again, the taxonomic groups I've been granted access to are listed here. So I'm going to select mammals, and again just terrestrial mammals, which includes bats. So once I've carried out or set those options, I can now go ahead and run a search, but I still need to specify the area I want to search. So pressing search at this point wouldn't just search the entire boundary. That would be far too many records and the system would likely crash. So I need to now set an area that I want to search. So I've got a few options here. You'll see this form here. I can specify a point polygon, polyline, a grid reference, and I've got some buffer options as well. The easiest way is to actually use the interactive tools on the map. So you'll see here the point tool, the polyline tool, the polygon tool. So for instance, let's assume we want to search around a little area somewhere in the middle here. So I'm just going to randomly select an area, click on the polygon tool, and maybe I'm going to search a little bit along this railway line. So I'm going to just click here and draw a polygon that goes some distance along this railway line. Double click to finish, and then click the finish button there to confirm it and to load that polygon into the form up here. If I wish to, I can specify a buffer, so I'll do that, 100 meter buffer. I'm now good to go. Let's run this search and then we'll explore some of the other options we've got here. You can specify a search reference if you want, but there's no need to do that. So I'm going to click on search and we'll see what this search returns. Okay, there we go. So it's returned a fair number of records there. Actually, not as many as I would have thought. 15 records along that piece of that section of railway line. Let's run a different search now. So let's click on Recorder, Data Search. I'm going to leave it set to Brecknockshire this time, and I'm going to choose birds. Birds. Okay. So this time I'm just going to specify a point and a buffer. So I'm going to zoom in here, choose my point tool, I'm going to pop that down there in that bit of woodland, click on finished. As it's a point, and indeed the same rule applies to polylines, I must specify a buffer. So I'm going to specify a 250 meter buffer. Now, as this is a public video, I don't want to display any sensitive records, so I'm just going to go over here to species and groups, species categories, and I'm going to turn off priority species and locally important species, and indeed species of conservation concern, and just choose other species. These are species without any kind of designation. There's lots of other options here which you can explore if you wish. So you can use a predefined polygon rather than use the map and draw shapes on it. So if you wish to search the entire Vice County, you could do so, but if you do that, you are limited to a single species. Species categories we've mentioned already. Over here, if you want to specify a single species, you can do so here. You can start typing. This acts as a lookup. You can find the species you want and then search just for that species. And if you do that, then you can search the entire Vice County. You've also got statuses here, so things like invasive non-native species, you can search just for those, or other designations. Under advanced here, you've got options such as the date the records were entered. You've also got verification level, and you can also choose if you want to deduplicate, so you can combine records which are very similar, so the same species on the same grid reference. Okay, let's run this search and see what we get. Okay, so that's returned no records, which is quite surprising. Let's edit the search and see if we can increase the buffer a little bit. So let's make this a 1000 meter buffer, expand it, and hopefully we'll pull in some more records. That's better. So now we've pulled in only a few records, about 71 records, 19 different species. So just to run through these tabs with you. So the first tab here, species records, is the actual species records individually. And you can click on a record and you can see it mapped there and all the information that we have. Okay. And it should zoom the map in and show you the actual resolution of the record as well, so everything we hold about that particular record. Over here on species list, so this is just the unique species that have been found in your search area, so if you want to see a list of those, you can do so there. And then finally you've got a species map, so there we go, you can see the actual species mapped, where they are, where they appear. You'll see here some of the icons are square, so those icons indicate that they're 1 kilometer records. The little round records, they're higher resolution, so 100 meter or better records. The color of the icon, these ones are black, so they indicate that they are other species rather than being priority species, species of conservation concern or locally important. Just one more thing's worth pointing out, maybe if we go over to species list here. So you'll see a little search box here. So if you want to, you can just type in a few characters there, and you can filter the list to find very rapidly a particular species. And you can do the same here. You can search for maybe for a recorder or particular species. Well, that just about completes this Aderyn screencast. I hope you found it useful. As always, we'd welcome any feedback, so please get in touch at info@biz.org.uk. If you have any further questions, please email us. And if you'd like to sign up as a recorder for access within Aderyn, obviously, we'd love to hear from you. Thanks again for watching.